Hi there everyone, Lars here with another Amphibia review brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And holy dang, we've got some great episodes that just came out from Amphibia this past weekend. Sasha's Angels and Olmtown Road. Try saying Olmtown Road 10 times really fast. You're going to really twist your tongue there. These episodes were great. They are once again keeping within the aesthetic that we've seen since Anne and the Planters have returned to Amphibia, with the futuristic and the medieval just clashing in the absolute best way possible. And one of the things I absolutely love that we've gotten in these two episodes is that we are seeing the continuation of Sasha's redemption and the redemption of her relationship with Anne. The two of them are talking more and are being more honest. They're being open with each other. This is a very important thing that you have to do within a story if you wish to redeem a toxic relationship. You have to show honest, open communication. And this is especially what we get in Sasha's Angels. It's very important to note that even though Anne and Sasha are now communicating with each other and they're trying to be more honest and open, we see that Anne still harbors some sort of resentment towards Sasha, and at least misgivings towards how she believes that Sasha sees Wartwood. She believes that Sasha doesn't appreciate the lives and the contributions and the well-being of the frogs that Anne came to love during her months in Wartwood. And it's great to see that Sasha doesn't become all offended by this, but that she accepts it because, she's done a lot of things wrong. And Sasha takes the higher road, is a big girl, doesn't snap back at Anne, and admits, I was once a person like that, but I'm not. I have also spent a lot of time with these frogs, and I've come to love them just as you have. And that was a really, really great moment, and it opens up a whole lot more for Anne and Sasha to really begin working together as a team, especially when we get to Olmtown Road, where, I love the symbolism that we see there with the conjoined Olm twins, here's some weird names for you, Lucille and Angwin. At least I hope I'm saying that right. Lucille and Angwin, who are color-coded the same as Anne and Sasha. And these two have been bickering and quarreling for a long time. It seems like their relationship is the worst, just as we thought that Anne and Sasha's relationship was the worst. And by the end of Olmtown Road, we see that those relationships have truly been redeemed and that Anne and Sasha are beginning to work more in tandem, even if they don't always get along. And that is, again, a really great step forward in redeeming their relationship. This is awesome. And I should also point out, saying right here, that these two episodes do a lot of showing rather than telling. I've had plenty of conversations with other Amphibia fans where they've said that they really just want to have Anne and Sasha sit down and talk things out. And while that might be something that we would expect from a CW show, that really doesn't work for Amphibia. Amphibia is really fast-paced, so it doesn't allow itself to have sit-down conversations. There are a few exceptions, and those exceptions are meant to be huge emotional gut punches. And, for instance, what we see with Anne and Sprig up on the balcony in Newtopia. That is one of the few rare moments where characters sit down and actually have a long conversation. And even then, when you look at the timestamps within that episode, it's not very long. So, it's not the style of this particular story to have characters sit down and talk. And that's absolutely fine. In fact, there's a lot that you can see about character development in terms of action. This is when you show character development rather than tell the audience. And these two episodes of Amphibia do a really great job of showing us how the relationship between Anne and Sasha is improving over time. And that is really, really good. So, coming back to Sasha's Angels, this episode was awesome. I personally feel like this is Matt Brawley's take on Weirdmageddon. In a way, this just tasted so wonderfully of events out of Weirdmageddon with the crazy biker gang that's led by Gideon. And except in this case right here, we have a gang of frogs, toads, and newts who are being led by Barry. Again, I love that we have characters coming back from the first season in ways that we didn't expect. Again, it shows that there is really no such thing as a filler episode within Amphibia. Everything that has happened is important one way or the other. And again, this is just a great example of that. And I love how Barry is just honestly an irredeemable small fry villain. And I love that he gets his just desserts there at the end when everyone's like, so what are we going to eat?
Holy.
But also, I just love the whole Mad Max, Fury Road, all of this that's going on here within this episode. And how it allows Toady to get some, not necessarily much needed character development, but get some unexpected character development. That we get to see that to his core, he is still the same lovable little frog. However, he has now learned that in drastic times, it takes drastic measures to get things done, and that anyone, even the small little frog, can rise to the occasion and be a hero. It's just a really great moment. I love how he just goes berserk, how he's able to become a leader and guide everyone, and that everyone works together as a team. This is really good to see. I enjoy seeing great teamwork. I enjoy all of the jokes that went on into this and everything like that. So yeah, Sasha's Angels, really fun episode that just kind of brings things together and again gives us those moments between Anne and Sasha, but also allows for other characters to come into the spotlight and show growth. This is a great way to balance such a large ensemble of characters like what Amphibia has. And my last comment on Sasha's Angels is this. Toady has proven himself to be the superior version of Toby Determined. I'm sorry, Toby, you were awesome by the end of Gravity Falls, but yeah, Toady now has just completely one-upped you.
Marbles.
Now then, let's get to the other really big episode here, Olmtown Road. This is a very interesting episode because it's an episode that kind of leaves us on a cliffhanger, which is something that Amphibia doesn't usually do. So it's interesting to get that kind of 2/3 of the way through the final season. Right here within this episode, we see that Anne and the planters share some of the information that they got back on Earth from one of the amphibian vases, where we learned that they need to go and seek out the Mother Olm and find out from her crucial information that when we look into the future at the upcoming episode titles, we learned that this is going to set the stage for when we learn about the root of evil and the core and the king. So some very important episodes are coming up, and Olmtown Road is setting the stage for those episodes. So this is a build-up episode, but also it was a great payoff episode for character development between Anne and Sasha. This episode is doing a ton of heavy lifting, and again, we bring in characters that we could have easily have written off as, well, that was a filler episode, as the planters and Anne are off to Newtopia when they go through Coraller's Pass. But these characters come back and they end up being very important, not just simply because Lysil and Angwin can lead everyone to the home of the Olms, but because Lysil and Angwin again represent Anne and Sasha and their journey towards reconciliation. On top of that, Lysil and Angwin prove themselves to be heroes by saving everyone who doesn't like them or trust them because of all their quarreling and the one time that they skipped out on duty because of their quarreling. And it doesn't really need much saying, but I'll say it anyway, that it's great to see Sasha standing up for the downtrodden. Genuinely so. Back when we saw her stand up for Anne in Season 1 of Amphibia, I said in a review of this that she meant it genuinely, but because Sasha always needed to be in control, there was a manipulative element to it all. It wasn't entirely sincere. And here we have Sasha making up for that, standing up for people that she doesn't really need to stand up for because it really counts. Because now she genuinely cares about other people. This, I feel, is truly the culmination of Sasha's redemption. There's still more room for her to grow, but if there's any one point where I, as a viewer and as a fan of Amphibia, can say Sasha is redeemed as a hero, she's gone totally from villain to hero, this was the episode that proved it. Now, I want to get into some of the lore aspects of what we see right here in Olmtown Road. So the Olm are ancient, they are secluded, and I think we're going to learn that this is in part due to the fact that the core corrupted Newtopia. And while the Olm were once probably highly regarded within the overall society of Amphibia, because we see the Olm plastered everywhere, especially in the temples, well, something happened. Something happened when King Andreas went off the beaten path, when he was betrayed by his friends, and when the Calamity Box was stolen from him. Something happened, and this is probably when the Olm went completely underground and cut themselves off from everyone and everything. And the Olm are so interesting because of their ancient ways, of their ancient heritage. They are connected to very important clues about what's actually going on here in Amphibia. But not only that, when we look at their city, it is covered in truly ancient stuff. We get to see proto-amphibian all over the place. And it's very clear that things haven't changed in this secluded pocket underground. It's really neat. It's really cool to see this ancient civilization. It works very, very well. And of course, then it makes sense these characters are very mistrustful of outsiders, especially if they were forced underground by whatever happened with King Andreas and the core way, way back in the day, and especially if they have special secrets still to keep. And this would now begin to make also a whole lot more sense why there is a prophecy, why there are keepers of the temples and everything like that, because the Olm are the people who still have that full knowledge. They've probably shared it over time. There's a whole lot that we still don't fully know. I expect that in the next episode, we're going to learn a whole lot. A lot of things are going to start making sense. A lot of dots are going to be connected, and we're going to learn truly what the prophecy is all about. We're going to learn what the prophecy is about, what the calamity powers are all about, and how the night figures into all of this. These are things that have been kind of left out in the open ever since we started realizing that these things were being sprinkled around in season 1, and it's finally coming together. Previously on one of our live streams, we were asked, how can you incorporate an ancient civilization into a story, but not have it so that the ancient civilization completely overtakes what you're actually trying to tell with the story? I think that Amphibia gives us a perfect answer as to how you can do that. Because the story of Amphibia being about 3 girls who end up in another world and then are trying to make their way back home, yeah, that's the overall story. The core of that story is what makes a toxic relationship and what makes a healthy relationship. Then we have all of these amazing character arcs and everything going on. There's so much happening in the story of Amphibia, and yet interwoven throughout the story, especially beginning in season 2, we have references to an ancient Amphibia that promises answers to what is happening in the present. Why the Calamity Box ended up on Earth, why the Calamity powers matter, why the girls matter, and why they need to redeem their friendships in order to save the world. All of this is sprinkled about in the ruins that encompass the world of Amphibia, meaning that this ancient world that belonged to King Andreas and the core is important, that it plays a role in the actions that these characters take, but it doesn't come front and center, which that is the balance that you're normally looking for. Unless you're writing a story that is all about uncovering ancient secrets and facts and artifacts and ancient evils and ancient good, you want to have these ruins, you want to have these things sprinkled throughout your story. It is incredible to me how Amphibia is able to balance so much in such tight episodes. Really, I have to give a tip of the hat to Matt Brawley and everyone that's working with him, because it's so well balanced, it's so well paced. Things are sprinkled throughout the series right when they need to be, and only now, as we're coming to the end of the series, do we finally dive into the heart of this ancient amphibian civilization, and only now are we beginning to dive into ancient answers. We've been teased with these things while more important stuff for the characters and for the plot have happened, and now things can start coming to a head with the revelations that will come with the old Mother Olm. So yeah, if I were to give these newest episodes a rating, I'd say like 9.5 out of 10 stars. Like, really? There's very little that I can quibble and complain about. Now, I would really have to be splitting hairs to point out the problems within these episodes, because they're just so well done. They're so much fun. It was just so fulfilling to watch these episodes. And I'm looking back to just watching them again for the fun of it, because they're just that good. So that's been my review and my look here into the newest episodes from Amphibia. Please let me know what you think about these newest episodes and what you think might come up when the Mother Olm finally reveals some of the things that have happened in the past, and how this is going to set us up for the episodes when we get to learn more about the Core and King Andreas and what's happening with Marcy. Oh, I'm so excited. So please put those comments and questions and everything that you have down in the comments below. And if you're looking for more writing advice, please check out our other videos here on YouTube. We also have podcast episodes for you to check out over at Google Play, Spotify, the works. And we also have writing exercises for you novice writers out there who wish to improve your craft. Links for all of those sites are down in the description below. And until the next video, y'all, let's speculate on what's going to happen with Mother Olm, and tschüss.